hinting at easing of interest rates. These are not mutually contradictory objectives, nor are they being sequenced in a predetermined manner. I think we need to stabilize the rupee, and going forward, we have to take steps to promote growth. The rupee depreciation of June, July, as I said yesterday in an interview to a newspaper, was quite unexpected. In fact, the rupee was remarkably stable between August 2012 and May 2013 compared to the previous 12 months when it had depreciated by 10 rupees. So what happened in June and July were quite unexpected, not only for me but also for Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Turkey, South Africa. And therefore some steps were taken to stabilize the rupee, and I think the rupee must be stabilized, volatility must be reduced, and going forward I think we will focus on promoting growth.
Sir, one small point on the offshore market. Clearly that's a concern. Half of the trade's non-deliverable segment overseas. Some policy focus on this. Can we expect anything that we could do?
Well, I'm not an expert on the offshore market. There are experts who are handling it. If you have any suggestions, I'm willing to pass them on.
So, RBI made it clear yesterday that they are not comfortable with the sovereign bond issue, and many independent experts also share the same view. What is the view of Finance Ministry on that, and how actively are you considering a sovereign bond issue now?
That is an option on the table, but we will not rush into any decision. If you read my statement, the penultimate paragraph, I have listed the measures on which we have or we are very close to taking a decision. So I think you should read my statement and the penultimate paragraph. But a sovereign bond issue is an option that is on the table, but we won't rush into a decision.
Sir, in an interview, this side sir, in an interview to a newspaper, you said that CAG is also responsible for the slowdown. The comments made by CAG on 2G and coal impacted the FDI inflows. So can you elaborate how you make that comment? And apart from that, what is the corrective measures government want to take on this institution so these things don't happen in the future?
No, I think we don't want to deviate from the subject of this afternoon's media conference. But since you have asked the question, let me say, the point I was making is, and I think you should make the point too, like many of us in politics, many of you in the media also miss the point. There is a clear distinction between policy and errors, mistakes, irregularities in the implementation of policy. Policy is what the government is for. Government makes policies. If policies are wrong, Parliament will pull up the government. The people will pull up the government. I don't think policy can be questioned by a CNAG. In the implementation of policies, especially which have an impact on government revenues, surely if there are irregularities, even illegalities, punish the wrongdoers in the implementation of policy. That's the point I was making. And I think just as many of us forget the difference, many of you also forget the difference.
Rupee breaching 61 level, what kind of increase you are apprehending in the total subsidy bill on fuels?
Well, I don't think the rupee's level today is the final level. The rupee did strengthen to even 58.90 a few days ago. So I think one has to be watchful. We are living in a very interdependent world where there are a number of players, and not all of them need to listen to me. Therefore, we'll have to be watchful. On the subsidy bill, yes, we will make the calculations as we go along. For example, fertilizer prices are down. Oil prices were up, but they've been down the last few days. So ultimately, a number of factors will decide the subsidy bill. At the moment, we think that what has been provided is adequate, but if some more money is required for meeting the subsidy bill, of course we will provide that money.
Sir, today you mentioned about the 2,000 crore incentive. Is it only for export interest subvention, or are there other incentives in the package?
No. I think about 1,550 crore is last year's balance to be paid under various incentive programs. In the beginning of this year, we provided 1,200 crore. That has been spent to pay off last year's arrears. Therefore, that 1,550 crore has to be provided, plus another 450 crore for enhancing the interest subvention from 2% to 3% in the remaining 7 months on certain exports. So altogether, we have arrived at a number of 2,000 crore, which I have approved today.
So my question is on the fiscal deficit. You have said you will meet the number. You did so last year, but there are question marks over the quality of that number. Last year, government spending was cut down, which in turn impacted aggregate demand. Now this year, you have a problem with subsidies, as well as with items such as disinvestment and the Suti stake sale, as well as HZL Balco. So on both of these, could you outline your strategy, which would ensure that you would stick to the numbers the way they are in the budget?
If I remember, either you or one of your colleagues or many of your colleagues asked me the same question last year. The quality of my numbers, question about disinvestment, question about subsidies. But at the end of the year, after reporting what Kelkar said, 5.3%, in the budget I showed 5.2%, at the end of the year we achieved 4.9%. And I repeat, the fiscal deficit this year will be contained at 4.8%.
So containing the fiscal deficit perhaps has been a big achievement of yours, but your budget mathematics is based on 6% growth target. According to the RBI and independent growth estimates that have come, we are perhaps not crossing that 5.5% mark. How do you then intend to achieve those numbers?
Are you talking about the revenue side? Well, last year we had 5% growth. Revenues increased by 19%. This year we're planning to increase the revenues by 21%. So if 5% growth can give us a revenue growth of 19%, why should I not assume that 6% growth or even 5.5% growth should not give me a revenue increase of 21%?